10 signs you have traumatic intelligence. The rarest form of smart. Psychology explained. Some of the smartest people in the world were not trained by classrooms first. They were trained by unpredictability. They learned to notice the pause before an answer, the tension in someone's jaw, the mood change in a room before anyone named it. They learned to think ahead, read people fast, stay alert, and solve problems quietly. Not because they wanted to become unusually perceptive, because at some point, being slow to notice did not feel safe. In this video, I'm using the phrase traumatic intelligence as a descriptive term, not a clinical diagnosis. I mean the kind of awareness that can develop when a nervous system spends years adapting to stress, emotional instability, or chronic unpredictability. Trauma research is clear that people often react to overwhelming experiences with fear, sleep problems, concentration difficulties, intrusive thinking, avoidance, and ongoing alertness. Research also shows that childhood trauma can shape threat processing, emotion regulation, and frontolimbic circuitry involving regions like the amygdala and prefrontal systems. Most people exposed to trauma do not develop PTSD, but trauma can absolutely change the way a person reads danger, trust, and rest. The first sign is that you read people extremely fast. You walk into a room and something in you starts scanning before anyone says a word. You notice the energy between two people, the smile that arrives half a second too late, the sentence that sounds normal on the surface but lands strangely underneath. Other people call that intuition, but often it is pattern recognition trained under pressure. Your brain learned that small signals mattered, so now it notices what other people miss without even trying. The second sign is that you overanalyze small changes, a delayed reply, a colder tone, a tiny shift in facial expression. To someone else, nothing happened. To you, the pattern changed. And when patterns change, your mind does not stay casual. It starts asking questions. What happened? What did I miss? What is this leading to? This is one of the most misunderstood parts of trauma-shaped perception. People call it overthinking, but often it began as prediction. Your mind learned to simulate outcomes because being unprepared once had a cost. The third sign is that you become strangely calm under pressure. When things fall apart, many people panic. You focus. In a crisis, your mind can become clearer, quieter, more strategic. You start identifying what matters, what does not, and what needs to happen next. There is a reason this happens. When stress has been familiar for a long time, chaos can feel more organized to the nervous system than peace does. Research on trauma-related development points to heightened threat processing and altered emotion regulation, which helps explain why some people become highly responsive and efficient in high-pressure moments. The fourth sign is that stillness can feel wrong. Not just boring, wrong. You finally get a quiet evening. No emergencies, no conflict, no one demanding anything from you. And instead of peace, your mind starts moving faster. You replay conversations. You anticipate future problems. You scan internally the way you used to scan externally. This fits what trauma experts describe about ongoing alertness after overwhelming experiences. The body can remain keyed up even when the danger is gone. That is why difficulty sleeping, feeling jumpy, racing thoughts, and trouble relaxing are so common after trauma. The fifth sign is that you feel things more deeply than people realize. Music hits you hard. Injustice does not just bother you intellectually, it lands in your body. A kind gesture from a stranger can move you more than it seems to move everyone else in the room. This is where traumatic intelligence becomes a paradox. The same nervous system that became excellent at detecting danger often becomes highly responsive to meaning, beauty, pain, and human nuance. So your depth is real. But so is the exhaustion that can come with feeling life in high resolution. The sixth sign is hyper-independence. You do not naturally assume help is coming. You solve things yourself, quietly, competently, sometimes impressively. But what other people admire as strength can have a sadder origin. For many people, self-reliance is not just a personality trait. It is a conclusion the nervous system reached early. If I need something done safely, I may need to do it myself. That can make you capable. It can also make you lonely, because carrying everything alone is not freedom when it becomes your only safe option. The seventh sign is that trust moves slowly through you. You do not take words at face value right away. You watch for consistency. You notice whether someone's tone matches their actions. You check whether safety is stable or just being performed. That does not always mean you are cynical. Sometimes it means your nervous system has learned to verify before it relaxes. The problem is that a mind built to detect false safety can start applying that filter everywhere. So even good people may need much longer to get past your internal checkpoints. The eighth sign is that you feel mentally older than the people around you. Small talk can feel tiring. Surface-level conversations can leave you cold. You are not always looking for drama. You are looking for depth. That often happens because you had to think about serious things too early. Not necessarily in words. Sometimes in atmosphere, in tension, in emotional complexity, in the quiet work of trying to understand what kind of version of someone was coming through the door today. And when you spend enough years doing that, your mind does not return easily to simplicity. You start craving truth more than performance. The ninth sign is that you study human behavior almost compulsively. You replay what people said. You wonder why they said it that way. You notice the gap between what someone claims and what their body is communicating. You become a quiet analyst of motive contradiction and subtext. This is where many people with traumatic intelligence become the safe person for others. They can read pain. They can sense what is unspoken. They can sit with emotional complexity without immediately collapsing into denial or cliches. But here is the hidden cost. You can become so fluent in understanding everyone else that you spend very little time asking what you need. The 10th sign is the deepest one of all you carry, meaning in a way other people do not. You do not move through life casually. You have looked too closely at pain for that. At some level, you refuse to let suffering be meaningless. You want to turn confusion into understanding. You want to turn pain into clarity. You want to make something honest out of what once felt chaotic. That instinct connects with the research on post-traumatic growth, a concept developed by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun. Post-traumatic growth does not mean trauma is good, and it does not happen to everyone. But some people do emerge from adversity with a deeper sense of meaning, stronger priorities, clearer values, and a different understanding of what matters. Now here is the most important part of this entire video. If you recognized yourself in these signs, do not romanticize them. Do not turn survival into a personality brand. Do not call constant vigilance your superpower and then ignore the cost. Yes, your mind adapted brilliantly. Yes, some of your perceptiveness is real strength. But what saved you then may be exhausting you now. So what do you do with this? First, start separating danger from discomfort. Not every uneasy feeling means something bad is happening. Sometimes it means something familiar is being activated. When you feel that old alertness rise, ask yourself, what is the evidence right now? What exactly changed? Is this danger or is this uncertainty? That one pause can change everything, because healing often begins when you stop treating every alarm as a fact. Second, regulate the body before you analyze the story. Trauma research and official guidance consistently emphasize basic nervous system support, staying connected to trusted people, maintaining routines for sleep, meals, and exercise, using mindfulness or stress reduction practices, and focusing on realistic goals. In plain language, that means your body usually needs help before your mind can think clearly. So try this simple reset the next time you feel yourself spiraling. Put both feet on the floor. Exhale longer than you inhale. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Look around the room and name 5 things you can see. Then ask what is happening right now, not what might happen next. That is not a small exercise. That is how you begin teaching the nervous system that the threat is not always current. Third, practice micro-trust, not blind trust. Do not force yourself to suddenly become open with everyone. That rarely works. Instead, let trust grow through evidence. Share one small truth with one safe person. Ask for one small favor. Notice who becomes more stable when you become more honest. Support from family, friends, or other trusted people is associated with lower PTSD risk after trauma, and connection remains one of the strongest protective factors in recovery. Fourth, know when deeper help is warranted. If what you are dealing with includes nightmares, flashbacks, severe avoidance, isolation, sleep disruption, constant fear, or symptoms that interfere with work relationships or daily life, do not just call yourself deep and leave it there. Get help. NIMH recommends seeking professional support when symptoms persist or begin interfering with daily functioning. The VA/DOD guidelines recommend trauma-focused psychotherapy for PTSD, especially treatments like cognitive processing therapy, prolonged exposure, and EMDR. So maybe the deepest truth is this: you are not too much because you notice too much. You are not broken because your mind learned to protect you. And you are not weak because peace feels harder than pressure. You may simply be someone whose nervous system learned too early that details matter. That awareness may have made you perceptive. It may have made you capable. It may even have made you wise. But your next stage of growth is not becoming less aware. It is becoming aware without remaining under threat. Because the goal is not to stop seeing deeply. The goal is to finally feel safe while seeing clearly.